London Spy. Did you see what I did there?
Ooh,
Yes. London. Now, Gary, you had this as your pick of the week a couple of weeks ago, and
then
you told us before we went on air that you only got 20 minutes in. So
yeah,
I'll set it up quickly, shall I?
What can I say as well? Whatever he picks for his pick of the week, he always hates it.
Okay, I'll just set this up. So this was Ben Whishaw in this, starring as Danny, this sort of guy who went out at night, had this warehouse job, lived in sort of a squalid bedsit, met this guy jogging called Alex. They sort of fall in love, go out for an eight months, and then he discovers certain things about Alex, and he might have lied to him. And there's a final scene, obviously Gary didn't get this far, turns the series on its head and is the impetus for what's to come. So Gary, why did you only last 20 minutes in this?
Because for me it was taking too long to get to that point.
You knew you were getting to our point, so why couldn't you wait to get there? Why was what was your impatience?
I think there was a lack of dialogue or explanation that I found annoying. I know that in some shows I like that, but in this it didn't feel quite
I know what you mean to an extent. This first episode almost felt like a prologue to the rest of the series. It felt like it could have been half an hour long.
Yeah.
Because what you got at the end was what would be to me one of the first scenes in the series, and then this second episode, which I've just watched, brought in a lot more characters, a lot bigger names. Charlotte Rampling was in it. Clark Peters from The Wire was in it.
I mean, there's still time for me to go back. I mean, it's still on iPlayer, so I mean, I'm not sort of devoid of saying I'll go back to the series.
And I think Jim Broadbent's excellent. I mean, I like this. The performances in this are all excellent.
I have two questions. Yes. One is, what is the supposed relationship between him and Jim Broadbent?
They do explain he was someone who sort of saved him when he first got to London, and they hooked up online, and it's sort of, you can see that Jim Broadbent sort of holds a torch for Ben Wishaw's character, but he's obviously not reciprocating it. They have some great scenes together in episode 2. I think as well, Ben Whishaw deserves sort of some credit for this, for being in every scene of both episodes. I mean, this is his show.
The other thing that I found confusing, sorry to ask you, is did he try and commit suicide in the first episode?
Not as far as I know.
Well, because he was near the bridge. He obviously dropped his phone, which is what...
at the beginning?
Yeah, right. No. Yeah, right at the beginning, where the guy comes up and sees.
I don't think so. I think he was.
I don't know. I felt it was. I think
it's one of those things that's open to interpretation.
Yeah, because he comes out of the club.
Did you not enjoy this because it didn't give you everything you wanted straight away?
I suppose. Yeah. I having read a bit about it and knowing something about it, I was like, where am I getting? And I suppose had I've known that it's the end of episode 1 that's gonna. Where you're going to get it. Maybe I would have stuck with it. Just, that I gave it my 20 minutes and thought, this isn't quite, living up to my expectations.
The complaint, there was rumours of lots of complaints. It was boiled down in the end to just one complaint.
Yeah.
About the sex scene that occurred during the episode. Do you think
that wasn't why I stopped watching, by the way. It just happened to be near that point. I'm just saying, because,
you were that viewer. That was you.
No, it wasn't me. I just happened to stop, and then I suddenly thought, oh, right.
I watched it after hearing about that complaint, and I thought it was quite a tame scene, if I'm honest.
Well, compared to what you're used to?
Compared to what I thought it would be based on the fact that someone complained about it.
Was it choice? No?
Do you think, A, that it would have been... Like, if it had been a heterosexual couple, do you think that complaint would be made?
No.
And B, do you think, after 9 p.m. anything's fair game?
Well, it seems to be fair game on every other channel. It doesn't seem to be fair game on the BBC.
Well, I still think there is the BBC thing. There is the fact that the BBC is seen as having to project a very moral high ground. I mean, think of all the problems that they've been over the years with things like Dennis Potter's plays and. Things
You're taking that back a bit there, Gary.
Well, no,
how far did Gary get? It's going to go a long way.
Outcry because it's on
how far back did Gary get? Without ruining what happens at the end of episode 1 for Gary.
I know what happens.
It's him trying to discover what Alex's background was and why he hid things from him.
The only thing that I did like was the very subtle ways in which you knew they were being followed.
It's not about spies per se. It's not focusing on the spies.
It's like the game that didn't interest me at all.
Well, that focus on the spies. This isn't focusing on the spies. It's focusing on a normal bloke who just happens to have got involved with a spy, and it's told from his perspective.
Yeah.
So he's almost like our proxy in the story.